Backpackers getting jobs in the Australian mines. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and in today's video I just want to have a quick chat about people coming in on backpacker visas and trying to get jobs in the mines. We get a lot of questions like this one from Jonathan, who's coming on a 417, and they just want to know whether they're going to take people on or not. Now, the problem with this is there's lots of conflicting messages going around, that some places are taking people on and some places aren't. I just want to come over to Mining People International. So they're a big labour hire mining company here in WA that work with all the big companies. So in the hard rock underground section, they're really big around Kalgoorlie and here in Perth. And this is what they've got to say on the matter. So, do you offer sponsorship for people wanting to migrate to Australia? When we work on behalf of Australian mining companies to find staff for them, we don't sponsor people from other countries. The mining company will usually do this. We will sometimes advise them on the process to follow. It's important to note that even though there is a lot of talk at the moment about the shortage of skills staff in Australia, the immigration laws are stringent, and Australian mining companies are unable to employ staff from overseas unless the person has skills that are in short supply or very difficult to find in Australia. So that basically means that the mining companies are stuck with just bringing people in from overseas that have got trade and degrees. All the unskilled jobs they're supposed to hire Australian citizens for. Now, I know they are hiring backpackers around the place. So if we have a look at recruitment overseas workers, this is the Australian government website for it. And if you have a look, it's the working holiday visa, so it's the 417, and basically you've got 6 months with the employer that you can do. But if you're working in hospitality and in the north of Australia, you can extend that for 12 months. There's nothing about mining in here. So what's happening is that a lot of the companies in the mining towns seem to be getting stuck for jobs like utility workers and offsiders and that sort of stuff. And I think a few people are throwing backpackers in just to fill spots, and they're only going to be there for 6 months, and that's all right. But, for a lot of the big mining companies, so if you're looking at something like Barminco with this entry-level underground campaign for their nipper and truck jobs, I mean, these guys aren't going to get, they're not going to get any change out of between 20 and 30 grand for each person that they try and train up. So why the hell would you be trying to train somebody up for that sort of money that's only going to be employed with you for 6 months? And that's really, the crux of it. I know there's a few people running around that have gotten underground truck jobs in Kalgoorlie lately, and I know some of the foremen that are on the mine sites that those people are on. And once the foreman finds out that they're backpackers, I tell you what, they're not going to be on the site very long. Because again, all the foreman's looking at is that I've just wasted $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 training this person, and they're gone in 6 months. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And that's why, you can come and you can try if you're a backpacker, but I wouldn't be pinning my hopes on it in any way, shape or form, because I've been in the industry for a long time now, and I've seen a lot of people marched off a lot of sites, unfortunately. And only a few months ago, I had somebody that got a job over 12 months ago called me up, and we were having a bit of a yarn, and he was telling me about a story about out at Campbell, a drill company, an underground drill company hired 3 German backpackers, and one of the guys lasted a day, the other guy lasted 7 days, and the guy that was actually going to last and work out, on the last day that he was on site, the client found out that he was a backpacker, and not only did he lose his job, but the person that hired him lost their job as well. And it just goes to show you that, it might, at the lower levels, they might be happy to look the other way, but once it gets up the top and the companies, the senior management and the companies find out, they're going to want you off site straight away, because there's real ramifications from the Australian government if they get caught hiring people that they shouldn't be for these unskilled jobs. So I just wanted to clarify that, because yes, people are doing it. People are hiring backpackers around the place for mine site jobs. But yeah, like I said, your chances of getting somebody to train you up in some of these truck jobs and nipper jobs and all that sort of stuff are pretty slim because of the cost of it all. But yeah, my understanding of it still is that, it's only for Australian citizens and permanent residents. And if you have a look at all the job ads, it says you've got to have working rights in Australia, or it says you've got to have permanent working rights in Australia, or it says you've got to be a citizen. and pretty much, all that falls into the same category, that if you're a backpacker, I mean, yeah, you're just taking a huge chance coming and trying to get a job like that, because there's going to be a big crackdown, because there always is. It builds up for a little while, and then people find out, and then the government goes through and they get to fine everybody. And I've been on a couple of mine sites that a couple of big mining companies have got not huge fines, but a couple of $100,000. So that's why it is like it is, and that's why some people are trying to circumvent the system, because there just isn't anybody. And it just goes to show you that if you know how their mine works, so if you're here in Australia and a permanent resident or a citizen, they're that desperate for people in Kalgoorlie that they're prepared to hire backpackers and look the other way. So it's, on some sites. But, if you really want to get in the proper way, then have a look at the sponsors training. That'll get you over the line with the employers. But yeah, if you're coming in from overseas, my advice is to have a look at the farming jobs. There's lots of harvest jobs going around at this time of year that pay really, really well, and they've got an exemption for backpackers as well, the farming industry. As it stands, as I've done a few ring-arounds to try and find out whether there are any exemptions in place, but I can't find anybody that's got any exemptions. So, if you get caught and you're not a permanent resident or a citizen, you're going to get marched off site. So I hope you found that information helpful, and remember, there's a lot of misinformation about backpackers out there on the internet, so just make sure that you understand with the Australian mining industry, all the companies for the unskilled jobs, which are all the crew jobs, which are the mining jobs, the employers have to hire permanent residents or citizens. So if you could share this information around and like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.